Peace, peace, beautiful beings. I hope you are all doing well. Today is a big video. It's a video that I have wanted to make for a while. And when I share things on Instagram like breakfast I'm eating or little tips and tricks on nutrition or anything, I'm getting lots and lots of questions on, can you talk about veganism again? Why aren't you speaking about veganism these days? Have you transitioned? If so, why did you transition away from veganism? All of the questions and many more. And so it's overdue that I sit down and have a little chat with all of you around veganism and plant-based diets and why, yes, I have transitioned away from a vegan diet and am now consuming animal foods. So this channel, there was a lot of vegan content a couple years ago where I would talk about, I had a lot of what I eat in a day videos, and of course those were all vegan meals. And I think when I first started the channel, maybe around 3, maybe even 4 years ago now, I had videos about why we shouldn't drink milk and vegan activism videos. And I was very much so that vegan who was like, you really don't want to be sitting next to me at the Thanksgiving table. Oh, how the times have changed. So I just want to invite you to listen with an open ear and an open heart, most of all, and know that the beauty of the human experience is that we are all different and we're all unique. And what works for you might not work for the person next to you or the person across the table. Maybe some of the things I'm saying today might trigger you, and maybe you won't agree with me. And you might have the facts and the essays and the studies ready to fight and to argue and debate, and that's wonderful, and I'll see you in the comments. But I don't have to tell you, right? Let's try to stay polite and remember that this human experience is really about love. So I totally invite healthy debates in the comments. I totally invite information that you share if you want to dive deep. That's awesome. I love that. And I'm just going to share from my experience and what I have learned over the years with food and nutrition. So yes, I actually did study holistic nutrition at the Institute of Transformational Nutrition. They used to have a holistic nutrition certification, and I think they've changed it now to something else, but that's what I did. And when I studied throughout all of that, I learned all of it. I learned a very unbiased way of information, but then as I was learning, I started to get funneled into that Dr. Sebi alkaline raw food tunnel. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen it on the internet, and that is very much so promoting veganism for any and all beings, alkaline living, raw food, raw veganism. And as you saw my channel years ago, I did experience raw veganism for almost a year. I was raw vegan in New York City in the cold, like, ugh, why was I doing that to myself? But it's all a learning process, right? We learn as we go. After about almost 5 years of strict veganism, things started to shift for me. I think I was 25 at the time when we were done living in the van, and I moved into my mother's house. Some of you remember that when Matt and I moved in with my mom, and my hormones or my adrenal glands, my stress response, something started to switch, and I started to get this insane cystic acne all over my face. And you know what? Now that I'm saying this, I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube where people switched from veganism to something else, and the one marker that helped them learn that there was an imbalance in their body was their skin. Your skin is a map. Your skin shows you what's going on the inside. Topical things, washes, all that's beautiful, but when you have an imbalance on the outside, target the inside. Look at the liver, look at your thyroid hormone, look at your estrogen dominance and balance. What is your eating? Look at your gut health. Get your gut tested. Oh, we're gonna talk about that in a second. So I started to panic a bit because never in my life have I had acne, ever. I am this public figure, Earth Mama Medicine, who's sharing videos about health and nutrition and really preaching to people about what they should be eating and how they should be treating themselves. How in the world is anyone going to trust me, listen to me, believe me, when my face is covered in acne? It was embarrassing. I wasn't even much of a makeup wearer. I remember going to the mall, going to Sephora, letting them get me all this makeup and try it on, and I was caking my face before videos. I was feeling so embarrassed to even leave the house. And oh my God, if you're dealing with acne, I'm sending you a huge hug, because I had never experienced it. It never really sunk in for me when I would have friends in high school and, you know, before and after that, and they'd have acne and they would just feel so bad about themselves. And I'm like, oh, it's just acne, you'll be fine, you know, it'll heal, whatever. But it really does get deep down into your self-esteem because you cannot hide it. It's on your face, and makeup really just makes it look worse, in my opinion. So it's out there in the open and you have to own it. I had many phases of my healing. One of them was owning it. It was really finding true unconditional love for myself and knowing that this is a healing, and thanking my body for showing me that there was an imbalance through the acne. Another one was using better skincare products I can talk about in another video, but I think it was way less about the skincare than it was about healing my gut and healing the bacterial imbalances, which therefore healed my hormones. I started going down the rabbit hole, following a bunch of functional medicine doctors, naturopath doctors online, going to one in real life. Remember when I got that colonic? I was just trying everything, and I kept seeing stuff about women's bodies and the hormones because I knew this was a hormonal acne because it was cystic and because it was in the areas of the face that usually indicate hormonal imbalance. And those places are along the jawline usually. It can be the sides of the cheeks and the jawline and the chin. In traditional Chinese medicine, you can Google something called face mapping, and they'll show you when you're getting pimples in certain areas what that means for inside. And so I can show you pictures. This acne was hormonal. The female body, to my understanding now, benefits greatly from animal fats, from real fats. This helps our hormones. Our bodies want to feel safe, first and foremost. So when your body doesn't feel safe, it's going to start doing all sorts of things. When you're starving yourself, you're doing these yo-yo diets, you're doing this keto stuff, this intermittent fasting. Remember when I did so much intermittent fasting? It was not helping me. It was backfiring on me 100% because my blood sugar was flip-flopping. My body's going into this emergency mode thinking that it's starving, which causes insulin resistance, which means when I do consume food after so many hours of not eating throughout sleep, 12 hours, you know, not eating when I first wake up until noon or something crazy like that, or 1 o'clock, my body's in emergency mode. My cortisol is straight through the roof, which is your stress hormone. My adrenal glands, which regulate your cortisol, are very stressed out, and they can't process sugar like they're supposed to. My liver's stressed out as well. So your body is essentially in haywire. I can explain this in a nerdier way, but I'm speaking in layman terms here so that you can just understand what I was beginning to understand. And I went to holistic nutrition school, but I'm totally not an expert, you all. I am learning every day something new, and there's always going to be contradicting information. You can Google that steak is good for you and steak is toxic. Broccoli is good for you. Cruciferous vegetables actually cause hormone imbalance. This and that and this and that. You're always going to find contradicting information depending on what you're looking for. So I had to really just make a decision and decide to try, just to try. So I got to that point where I was like, okay, Veladya, no more intermittent fasting. I'm going to start supporting my body for my hormones. So the first thing I did was get my gut tested. And after getting my gut tested, I realized, holy moly, this is what's happening. I used a test called Viome, V-I-O-M-E. It's I wouldn't endorse the brand myself, actually. I've shared about the brand before. Now I probably would say there are other brands out there that you can use for a gut test, and I actually will be reviewing one coming up soon, so if you want to wait on that, you can. But I just recommend getting your gut tested because what the test told me was all the great bacteria I had, all of the bad bacteria I had, way more bad bacteria that was feeding off of the sugars and the things I was serving myself. Foods that are your strength foods, foods that are your weakness foods, foods that you should be avoiding. Why did I have a long list of vegetables that I should be avoiding? And why did I have a great list, pretty long list, a substantial list of animal foods that I should be integrating for my specific gut bacteria? So it was telling me that I need to include eggs, that I need to include butter, that I need to include fish and others. So I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And at that point, I was very much so vegan for health, for the environment, and for the animals. Like, how could I do this? How could I betray them? How could I, how? There's gotta be another way, but I didn't find another way. I just decided to try. So the first day of trying, I think I cooked some food with butter. I felt good. And then the next time I tried, maybe a couple weeks later, Matt and I decided to buy eggs. We were so afraid. I'll never forget that day, like being in the store and feeling like I was stealing just by like having eggs in my cart. Like, is everybody watching me? Buying the eggs. And of course, organic, free range, pasture range, the best eggs that we could possibly buy from the store. And of course, now we have our own chickens, so they really are the best eggs we could possibly be consuming. But at that time, the best eggs we can get our hands on. Tried the eggs. And after weeks and weeks of eating butter and eggs, just the butter and eggs, my freaking face started clearing up. I noticed that my stress levels, just because I was eating a little bit more balanced, my blood sugar levels, because I started testing myself, my blood sugar levels were evening out. I was no longer intermittent fasting. I was eating as soon as I woke up in the morning, which is also very important for everyone, but especially the woman's body, hormones. If you're dealing with PCOS, stop skipping breakfast. Eat breakfast. Eat. If you're not hungry in the morning, you can go hours and hours without eating in the morning. That's not a good sign, actually. It shouldn't be worn as a badge of honor. It's a sign that your hormones are off. We can talk about that in another video because I've been making a lot of notes about a video for PCOS coming up soon. To reel it back in, I started to heal. My face started getting better. And I was so happy. After several weeks of butter and eggs and feeling much better, I decided to get my gut tested again, and things had evened out. The bacteria was evening out. The foods that I was to avoid, that list got shorter because my gut health was getting stronger. My cortisol levels, my stress hormones, everything started to balance out. I couldn't believe it. So after getting that second gut health test, I said, all right, I'm gonna follow this one again. This time, I'm gonna integrate some meat. And the reason why I decided to integrate some meat, I'll tell you right now a little bit of the science. Not all protein is created equal. I repeat, not all protein is created equal. Vegans, this is where you're gonna get a little mad at me, but this is the truth according to what I've learned. It is not enough for a food to just contain protein. You need to be able to digest that protein, and you need to be able to absorb that protein. And this is where the problem comes in with plants. Plants like nuts, seeds, and grains, and soy, and beans, yes, they contain protein, but the very nature of these plants, when we look at them scientifically, is to resist digestion. So we cannot absorb the protein. It is not bioavailable to the human body. Now, of course, there are ways we can change it. Preparation of these foods changes the way our bodies digest them. Genetics changes the way that our bodies digest them, which is another reason why I totally recommend getting your gut health tested, because we cannot all follow the same rules. Impossible. And most importantly, the state of your body will determine how you digest these foods. So after 5 years of veganism, my body was not absorbing and assimilating and synthesizing these plants in a good way at all. And things were starting to go haywire, which is why now I can confidently say veganism can be great for you if you're trying it out for whatever reasons, but I don't recommend vegan diets for anyone long-term, especially women. So not only are animal proteins easier to digest, much easier in the human body, but they contain preformed vitamins and nutrients. So cows have 3 stomachs. So when they eat all of this greenery, that's why they have those 3 stomachs to really process. It takes an incredible amount of processing. Have you ever noticed when you eat a big bowl of cruciferous vegetables or a big salad, you're bloated, you have all of this gas in your stomach because our stomachs aren't designed to process that much plant material like an animal is. So we get those nutrients from those plants through the animal because the animal has processed them for us. So you're getting bioavailable vitamin A. The vitamin A that you're getting out of carrots is not bioavailable to the human body, but retinol, the vitamin A that you're getting from beef and from other animal, from organs, meats specifically, and very importantly, like liver, that is bioavailable and highly nutritive to the human body. Oh my God, when I started taking, I think even before I ate my first chunk of meat, because I was terrified, it took me weeks and months, I started taking liver pills. And the amount of energy and rejuvenation I felt from just a week of taking liver pills every day was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Try it. Just try it for yourself and comment below. If you've taken liver pills and you felt it, comment below. I want to know if I know I'm not the only one actually, because I have many friends who benefit from liver pills, and many friends, especially through pregnancy, that's their only supplement that they take is liver pills. You're getting your taurine, you're getting your vitamin D3, your B vitamins, carnosine, creatine, vitamin K2. When women don't eat animal foods, they often see issues in detoxification and metabolism, which looks like acne, hair loss, inability to lose weight, irritability, blood sugar issues like I was having, hypothyroidism, gut issues, which is what I was having, PMS, foggy thinking. Yes, PMS is not normal. We shouldn't be feeling this huge imbalance right before we get our cycles of irritability and angriness and acne and all of that. That's not normal. That's a sign of hormonal imbalance and some issues. And a lot of this can be fixed by animal foods and healthy fats that come from animal foods. Please don't let butter scare you. Saturated fats are actually very nutritious for the body. And we can go on a big, long rant. You know what? I'll put some videos in the description. How about that? Because they're going to explain it a lot better than I will. But talking about why saturated fats. Hi! They were at the park.
You miss mommy?
You miss mommy? But I'll put videos in the description about why saturated fats are actually very great for the human body in so many ways. And actually what made Big Pharma and all sorts of media outlets and what was in for the food industry to start marketing saturated fats as unhealthy, because it's a big, long rabbit hole to jump down. But I guarantee you, you will feel better cooking your food with butter and lard than you will cooking your food with Crisco and corn oil. Whew, not good. Hi, baby. So I know you're gonna be asking about, what about the animals? How could you possibly switch from wanting to protect these animals and wanting to save lives and not contribute to murder and just immediately erase all of that just for your own skin health or your own health? I completely understand that. Let me share a little bit of insight. A lot of the vegan ideology is set up around that superficial set of ethics, which is protecting animals, the environment, wildlife, but all of that really falls apart when you look below the surface. A meatless diet is not a bloodless diet. Many animals lose their lives in the process of farming vegetables. Birds and butterflies are poisoned by the chemicals. Rabbits and mice are run over by tractors. Vast fields of monocropped vegetables displace the animals that once lived on that native land. I'm gonna read you something that I read online from a registered dietitian. Her name is Diana Rogers. She says, what is the most moral way to eat? If you're truly looking to cause the least harm to animals, be the most sustainable and ethically responsible with your food consumption, then your lens has to open a bit to include some other questions. If you know that animals will die for your Soylent, is it okay to drink it? If you know that the spraying of non-organic bananas also means schools and local homes are also sprayed with toxic chemicals, causing incredible illness and birth defects, is it still okay to eat them? Is it okay to eat tomatoes when you don't know who's harvested them? If you knew that a 12-year-old girl had worked a 12-hour day instead of going to school so that you could have red tomatoes in January, are tomatoes more virtuous and cleaner than lamb? If you don't see blood or bones in your plastic wrapped package of chicken, does that make it easier for you to eat? Is white meat cleaner to eat? Are birds less of an animal than a cow? Is it okay to eat eggs from a confined chicken? Are almond milk from a plantation that's lifeless except for those almonds, but not okay to eat the meat from a cow that has spent its entire life on a pasture? Which process allows for the animals to live a better life? Which system is better to support? Until we begin to ask better questions, we will not see better solutions. If you equate the life of a rabbit or squirrel as equal to that of a cow and are truly looking to kill the least amount of lives to feed your own, then I would argue that killing one cow that lived on a pasture is actually causing less death than the number of animal lives that are lost by modern row cropping techniques. The diet of least harm may actually require eating large herbivores, red meat. Removing animals from our food system could cause more harm than good. Here's why. The connection between nutrition and ecosystem health is starting to make some headway into mainstream media, right? However, we've allowed corporate interest, big food, flawed science, clickbait media, and naive celebrities to steer us away from what a truly nutrient-dense, ethical, and sustainable and regenerative food system really is. The mantra that all meat is bad influences how we're training dietitians, shaping our dietary guidelines, designing school lunch policies, and funding nutrition-related research. Meat is being vilified as causing cancer, heart disease, diabetes, yet there are literally no solid studies to back this up. Meanwhile, Silicon Valley has invested millions in highly processed meat alternatives with the assumption that engineering our proteins in factories will be a better alternative to something nature has already figured out: grazing animals, restoring land, while converting cellulose into protein. The truth is, well-managed cattle are the unlikely heroes of this story. Removing animals from our food system could do more harm than good. It's not the cow, it's the how. I 100% recommend watching this documentary called Kiss the Ground that talks about regenerative farming and how vegans are not saving the world by being vegans at all. You're not. By switching from your meat burger to your veggie burger, you really haven't done anything to save the overflow of carbon that's happening in the world. It's going to talk about regenerative farming. It's going to talk about the big businesses, the big corporations that are hitting one button and causing so much more destruction than you possibly could by eating your burger, and how regenerative farming and sustainable farming using these cattle is one of the huge answers to saving our planet. Oh, we've gone really deep down the rabbit hole, haven't we? So hey, if you would like me to do some sort of a Q&A or a follow-up video to this after I go through and read your comments and we have healthy, loving debate or discussion, if you would like, then I will. We can talk about this even deeper. I'm totally open for speaking and learning and going through the journey, but I thought it was important for me to sit down and just discuss this because I was getting a lot of messages from people, and especially women, who were eating vegan because of my videos. And when I started to share that I was eating eggs on Instagram and, you know, cheese and butter and all different things, women were saying, hey, well, I was vegan because you are. So can you please tell me why you're not vegan anymore? Because maybe there's something I should learn. So here I am sharing the information in hopes that if you were experiencing any of those symptoms I was talking about, PMS, irritability, foggy mind, hypothyroidism, acne, inability to lose weight, maybe, and you're with the vegan life, perhaps it's time for you to consider going another route. And getting your gut tested is a wonderful way to do that. I will be sharing a little bit about what I've been eating these days. That's coming up next. And yeah, I thought it was important for me to share all of this with you because I'm not going to be one of those channels that lies to you. As you could see, I stopped making what I eat in a day videos. I stopped talking about food really in general at all because I wanted to just experience it for myself. I stopped being vegan right before I got pregnant. I don't even know how pregnant women go through pregnancies vegan. I wouldn't recommend it at all. And I'm going to share in the description a ton of resources of things, of podcasts I've listened to, videos I've watched. And this is from functional medicine doctors, researchers, people that I trust that has helped me come to the conclusion. Because, you know, none of this is coming just off the top of my head. And I want you, if you want to really dive deep on the nerdy science of it all, to have resources. So those are going to be below in the description for you. And yeah, I love you vegans. I love you everyone. No matter what you decide to fuel yourself with, I feel so much better eating intuitively, eating ancestrally, eating foods, animal foods that I get from local farms. I eat my own eggs from my chickens here. I butcher my chickens here, and I eat chicken from the chickens that I've raised. I get pasture-raised beef, butter that has been pasture-raised, organic, with no hormones and antibiotics in it. I order raw butter and raw milk from local farms and farms online. I'll also put some information below if you're looking for raw dairy. That can be a whole nother video. But if you're going to consume dairy, I highly recommend consuming raw dairy, because all the dairy that we find online is pasteurized, and they do that to keep it safe, but that's a whole other thing. If you consume raw dairy and it benefits you and you like it, comment below. Let's start a thread, talk all about it, please. Let's make this an informational hub for everyone to go down to the comments and to learn, because, oh God, that's a whole other thing I can go down. But when we're not heating up this milk to high temperatures to kill off any potential bacteria, you're losing all the good stuff, all the nutrients. So when you're drinking this milk from the store, it's not doing anything for you. It's not. So if I'm not drinking raw dairy that I've ordered specifically from a local farm, I'm drinking organic oat milk, because I'm not drinking the dairy that's coming out of the store. Absolutely not. So yeah, I think this video is getting a bit long, but you got the gist of what I wanted to say. And I'll have a lot more follow-up content for you if you'd like. I'll see you in the comments. Peace and love to you all, okay? I hope you're doing well. Let's take a deep breath together. There's a lot of information to digest, right? One more. Loosen up that jaw. All right. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.